hope he's better than the last one.
So, I'm Garrett Gladden, and I'm going to tell you a story tonight about my childhood. And it's called Hearts of Darkness for a very particular reason. I did something when I was 9 that wasn't so great. Now, I know that looking at me right now, you think he looks like a law-abiding, pretty clean-cut dude, with a raging dose of Protestant guilt. And that's true. I see that as well every time I look in the mirror. But I can tell you a story from my childhood that flips a traditional question on its head. And the question is, why do bad things happen to good people? It asks instead, why do really good people sometimes do really bad things? So I want to introduce you to the cast of characters in this story. Now, this is not a photo of the Homeschool Liberation Front. It could be, but it's not. So that's Joni the Scofflaw, that's Luke the Lunatic, me the Maniac, Corey the Anarchist, and Captain Insano, my older brother Matthew. He's a ginger, so a daywalker, you get it. So, like all normal children who embark on an unspeakable act, it began by listening to an audiobook called Mr. Mischief by Richard Hargraves. And so I hope this haunts him someday like it haunts me now. And so, in that story, he gets into a lot of mischief. So our mantra became that night and the next day, let's get into mischief, let's get into mischief, let's get into mischief. And so, we started out the next day, we walked across the street, let's get into mischief. We went to the deepest, darkest woods, let's get into mischief. To the clearing, let's get into mischief. Until we spied the witch house. And you can see the river Styx runs right next to it. Now, we decided to take this mantra of ours, let's get into mischief, and let's put it to good use. We could not believe that our cause now had a holy cause behind it. It's a witch house. We need to get into some mischief with this witch house and teach that witch a really good lesson. So, in the age-old struggle between darkness and light, good and evil, there is a substance that's sure to weaken the constitution of any warlock or witch. That's algae. And in that river, right next to the house, was a bunch of algae. So we scooped it up by the handful and just started chucking it at the front of the witch house. And we completely covered the witch house in algae. Now, we also, this is hard to get to without laughing, so we also know one thing to be true, that witches should not have some place that's comfortable to sit outside. Right? I mean, I'm right. So we overturned all of her porch furniture, tied it up with a rope we found, and one of us, I'm not saying who, defecated in front of the steps and covered it with pine needles for the ultimate witch booby trap. Now, in any story like this, there comes a time when you realize this is the point of no return. Everyone could walk away and this would just be funny, ha-ha. Or it could get serious. And it got really serious. We discovered an axe behind the house and we chopped down the back door of the witch house. So, witches don't deserve ice cream. Am I right or am I right? So we rushed into the house, we opened the freezer, and we ate all of the incredibly freezer-burned ice cream. And to teach her a lesson that she'll never forget, we took a bunch of chips and crackers and threw them all over the floor. Well, the witch came home right when the witch should not have come home. And we were found out, and the witch, it turns out, was an elderly couple from Southern California coming to Lake Tahoe for their annual vacation. And I think they thought they stumbled on the apocalypse where kids had gotten a virus that turned them into complete psychopaths. Now, since that time, I've asked myself over and over again, how could you? And you're probably asking yourself, how could you? Children are the paragon of innocence. They are good. Our children are our hope. How could these kids do something like this? And the explanation is a social theory called the Thomas theorem. Now, the Thomas theorem states, if men define situations as real, they are real in their consequences. And this doesn't just explain our actions as kids, this also explains our actions as a society, and how some, in fact, most members of society at some point have a heart of darkness. So, at the very founding of the nation, we espouse certain truths to be self-evident. Things like freedom, life, liberty, the pursuit of property, except we defined at the same time something else that was very real, that not all members of society were truly equal. And that became troubling because that meant that the majority of Americans at that time had an aspect of that heart of darkness. So we defined as real until 1920 that 51% of society should not have the most basic of civil rights, which is the right to vote. Dark indeed. I was worried about this part, that I'd go way over each slide, but that's obviously not the case. So, a century after the Emancipation Proclamation, we had Jim Crow laws, and we had many members of society that still believe that society could and should be separate but equal. All the way until the 1960s, we believed, many of us, that that was true. We believe still to this day, in many parts of our society, that freedom of conscience and that freedom of thought is somehow un-American. That somehow those who believe a different strain of beliefs than our own are somehow not quite right. And that is also dark indeed. And so evidencing this is also the Westboro Baptist Church. It's just one of the most current examples of this, where this belief that allows you to condemn all other beliefs and all of mankind and humankind is okay. And it's probably a good thing that you're doing that. Is also a dark aspect of this. So I would encourage you to do a few things here. One, don't try to get into mischief like Mr. Mischief did, and like we did. Two, don't go witch house hunting. It's not good. So instead, believe in truths that are beautiful. Believe that all humankind is sacred and treat it as such. And for those of you who were wondering what happened to those children, we defined for ourselves a better reality. Joni became a professional snowboarder and a mountain manager in Tahoe. Luke became a fireman. I'm a project manager here in Bend. Corey became a stand-up paddle and yoga instructor. And my brother's a concert pianist taking his PhD in Illinois. So I've got 99 problems and witches aren't one.